to another edition of Game Day U. I'm your host, Stephen Mudd, joined by our analysts, Chris Hubbard, Madeline Roberts, and Holden Cruzmark. We got a packed show for you today. So let's get started with some games around the nation that are happening today. Our first game actually happened on Thursday, the Louisville at Houston game.
I guess it also depends on how he finishes.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's still the front runner, but I'm not as confident as you that he'll win. I think there's other players, like Jabril Peppers, for example, who are going to step up and have a better shot of winning it by the end of the season, because I think Louisville is just going to continue to probably not play as well. I don't think they're going to return to their former, high level of playing. So I'm not as confident.
Yeah, it hurts them just in the fact that Louisville's now 8-2.
Yeah, I think the key to this game is Florida's defensive front seven versus Leonard Fournette. Florida holds SEC opponents to 3.7 yards per carry, while Leonard Fournette averages about 6.7 yards per carry. So it's definitely going to be a battle between those two, and just to see if Leonard Fournette and the LSU offensive line can create those holes so he can run and just have a good defensive game against this front seven that is a really, really good defensive front
I think that's a huge key. LSU has to. I think they both need to have great quarterback play. I think LSU has to have it. Yeah.
I agree. This TCU team is so hard to figure out. They're 5-4 on the season, 3-3 Big 12, but then they beat Baylor by 40 points. And so, exactly. So it's just like, which team is going to show up? How are they going to do? I think OSU is going to be very motivated. They control their own Big 12 destiny right now. So I think they're going to come in to TCU and just really give them a really hard time.
Yeah.
Quietly, Mason Rudolph is one of the best quarterbacks in the NCAA.
That could play a factor in this game.
Another thing for OSU is they really love to capitalize off teams' mistakes, off other teams' turnovers. And TCU has a -2 turnover margin on the season. So if they can force turnovers, then I think it's going to be a really long day for the Horned Frogs.
Kenny Hill's been prone to throwing interceptions.
He has 10 interceptions.
And I think if TCU and OSU want to get in this shootout battle, I think TCU goes down quick. Their defense just isn't good enough.
I think the key for TCU is to hold Oklahoma State under 30 points. Oklahoma State has 2 losses this season, both in which they scored under 30 points.
One to Western Michigan?
The only Central Michigan. The only games in which they had less than 30. So I think if TCU can hold Oklahoma State to less than 30, I can't really see that happening right now. But I think if they can do that, they can get the win today.
Maybe if TCU gets an extra untimed down and works some magic, they might have a chance in this one.
Don't sleep on the chip walls. Clemson. I don't even know what to say how they lost that one. Madeline?
It was really surprising that Deshaun Watson threw for an ACC record 580 yards, 3 touchdowns, but also threw 3 interceptions, and Pitt was able to really capitalize off of those and really just take this win right out of Clemson's hands.
Yeah. This is what it was. It was their best performance of the season.
I think this shows how weak the ACC is, and it's possible that they miss the playoffs entirely at this point. Which, 2 weeks ago, if you said that, it'd be like, no way they missed the playoffs. But Clemson still controls their own destiny, and I personally think they'll still make the playoffs. But it's possible they couldn't. It's possible that we have a 4-team playoff with the ACC teams, which would be surprising.
Let's just 3 Big Ten teams in Alabama. Let's just do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Iowa defense really showed out and impressive. Held Michigan to 201 yards. They came in averaging almost 500 yards per game. So they really just shut them down. And it's even more impressive to me that Michigan, didn't they go up 10-0? And then Iowa came back and just scored it, so it's just crazy that they were able to come back against Michigan and do that.
Golden Spate went down. He was hurt in the game, and there's kind of been questions and rumors that whether he'll be back. It's from Chris Hubbard. Madeline, what are your thoughts?
So I'm always wondering, what is the committee thinking? What is their opinions on this? Why are they doing what they're doing? So I looked up the 4 main criteria that they look at. And the first one, most important, is championships. Who's going to win each conference championship?
Right.
Strength of schedule, head-to-head competition, and comparative outcomes of common opponents.
Yeah.
So these 3 main teams that lost, Clemson, Michigan, and Washington, still all control their own destinies to win their conferences. So I think if they win their conferences, which I can see happening, you guys obviously predicted different things, but I think there's a good chance those 3 teams still win their conferences and still make the playoffs, just because that's what the committee looks at. The committee loves those winners of the conferences, the champions.
Yeah, I think the conference champions get in. Speaking of conference champions, it's anybody's game. Helen.
Yeah, I think Bedlam for the Big 12 would be really exciting. That's how it was last season, and that was an exciting, fun game in Stillwater. But I agree. I don't know if Oklahoma State really has the firepower to beat TCU in their house. And Oklahoma at West Virginia is no lock for the win either, so it'll be interesting to see what happens in these 2 games today.
That's very true.
Well, it's kind of...
And throwing it to the wrong team.
I think the key for OU's defense is to force turnovers. Like you said, Skylar Howard.
Word.
Skylar Howard's been turning the ball over a lot.
I love it.
Last week, West Virginia almost lost to Texas, and in that game, Howard threw 2 picks. In the loss to Oklahoma State a couple weeks ago in Stillwater, he threw 3. So I think if OU secondary can really get their hands on the ball, it's going to be a long day for West Virginia.
I agree with that so much.
I agree, definitely coaching change coming. My cloud is the SEC. For so long, it's been labeled as the best conference, the strongest conference, the conference to beat. And with Bama at #1 for so long, I can see that. But I think definitely now the best conference is the Big Ten. Latest college football playoff rankings, we have 3 weeks left. 4 of the top 8 teams are Big Ten teams.
Yes.
Bama's obviously still #1, but the next highest is Auburn at 15, and you got LSU 16, 19 Tennessee, 23 Florida, and 25 Texas A&M. So you still got them down there at the bottom of the pack. So I mean, they're not quite at the Big 12 level of, not very good, but definitely the Big Ten is the best conference. I don't think there's any, at least for this season, and probably I'm guessing for the next couple seasons, they're going to be the best conference.
Holden?
Yeah, Madeline and I actually called each other up this week, and we're like, hey, what do you think we should do for call-outs? And we're both like, SEC, SEC, everybody loves to chant SEC, so we started chanting SEC, but for call-outs.
Are good or middle of the road teams.
But are you ever going to have a conference where they're all just great teams? I mean, I don't think it would work if there was a conference where
you're always going to have your Vanderbilts.
all your teams are in the top 25. I mean, that's
it's never going to be like that. But for Houston, this is my call out. Thank you, Houston Cougars. Madeline?
My call out is OU secondary. It's been kind of a big question mark this entire season. They had a couple rough games, especially at the beginning of the season, but they definitely need to show out against this team.
Yeah.
West Virginia averages 35 points per game, so they definitely need to contain them, especially in Morgantown. And like we talked about earlier, Chris, Skylar Howard's been throwing a lot of interceptions, so I think the secondary really needs to capitalize on that.
Oh, absolutely. I'll talk about that as well later.
It is warfare. Each time these two teams get together, even though OU has won all 4 games against West Virginia since they joined the Big 12, it's always been a battle. I mean, last season was OU won 44-24 here in Norman, which was by far the biggest point differential of any of these games. OU really wants that Big 12 championship. Bob Stoops wants it. Baker Mayfield wants it. They're hungry for it. They haven't given up hope on making the playoffs. It's not over till the fat
lady sings.
It's not over. West Virginia, they're feeling snubbed by the committee. They're ranked number 14, whereas OU, with 1 more loss than West Virginia has, number 9.
Yeah, it's because
they've got to feel snubbed.
Yeah,
they've got to feel.
And you got to
feel motivated.
You got to think the offense is taking offense to people are saying West Virginia's defense is the best in the Big 12. It's 2 touchdowns.
My final score is a little closer. I'm saying 45-38 Oklahoma. I think it's going to be a shootout, maybe a little less so than OU Texas Tech, just because these defenses.
Let's hope it's not like that.
These defenses look a little better than that, and maybe the weather. I think the weather will play into this a little less high scoring. But these two teams, it's always a shootout pretty much, and so 45-38 OU. I think OU can take care of business in Morgantown.
Wow. All right.
Field goals.